Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Centiskorch. Centiskorch evolves from Sizzlipede, which you can get from research tasks and, the way I got it, from remote raiding a 3-star raid. Now, Centiskorch is going to be a fire and bug type Pokemon, and as for the moveset, we're looking at Ember, Crunch, and Lunge. Now, Centiskorch from raids does actually evolve above 1500, so today I'm going to be testing it out in the Open Ultra League after I spend quite a few rare candies to see how it performs. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And we're off to an okay start in game number 1, leading Malamar into Shadow for Alligator. As the Malamar, I will wait for them to fire off their Hydro Cannon before I go for a Superpower and a switch out into Shadow Drapion. So I tank the move, one Psywave and the Superpower, and then it's switching time. In comes the Drapion. Drapion very comfortable tanking a move here from the Feraligatr. Feraligatr tries to play to a CMP tie, but I'm just going to farm them down if they stay in. Opponent's not going to stay in. They bring out Typhlosion, and I am very happy to bait this out, being a fire bug type. Unfortunately, I would be taking massive neutral damage on Centiskorch. Drapion is going to be spamming out Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail, putting so much pressure onto the opponent. Opponent is going to be hit with a third Aqua Tail now. That's going to be shielded up, and I continue the farm. Now, I'm just going to let this go. Drapion more than did its job. I'm saving the shield for the Centiskorch. Thunder Punch does not KO. I make the Aqua Tail, but that's a beautiful catch by my opponent, catching the Aqua Tail back onto that low HP Feraligatr. So a great play by my opponent, but in the back, that's exactly what I needed to see. In comes Clefable, and Centiskorch hits the field for the very first time. Centiskorch is going to be resisting Moonblast, farming up with the Centiskorch, and my opponent is now going to fire off a Swift. Unfortunately, I don't really have any charge attacks that can damage the Clefable, so I think my best bet is just going to be to fire off a Lunge. Here, my opponent makes another catch back on a Typhlosion. I undercharge it, but it still will be enough to knock out. Back in comes Clefable, and my opponent's definitely made some pretty nice catches in these games. So I think I am going to return the favor here. So I farm up right at the last second, switching out into Malamar to catch the Swift. And Malamar will get to Psywave down the Fairy type, and we take the game 1 win. Dream lead in the next match, Malamar into Lapras. Lapras staying in this matchup. One Superpower does not knock out, so I will go for the foul play first. Foul play is going to be no shielded opponent. Save switches into Drapion, and since I don't have a great response to a Drapion save swap, I'm just going to Superpower and dip. That gets a nice health advantage. Now I can send in the Drapion and hopefully neutralize my opponent before they're able to get super effective Aqua Tails off on the Centiskorch. So it looks like I do actually win the CMP tie here in this matchup, which is valuable information. So my opponent has a very high rank Drapion. Drapion is going to be hit with another Aqua Tail, and I definitely won't get knocked out by the next one. It's going to be close for them, but I think since they're a good rank, they can hold on here. I fire off the Aqua Tail, and it does not KO. So I should have overfarmed. That's my fault. Mid-battle, I accidentally lock my screen momentarily. That's really not good. And now, thankfully, I'm back in the game, and I leave with a Crunch loaded. Opponent is going to be sending in Lapras. Lapras will take quite a lot of damage from this Crunch. Crunch is going to connect. It's going to be close here. Can I get to another move? And I think I actually get the damage registration error. I get it very infrequently, but I'm able to make a last second move. That forces a shield, and now I can send in Malamar with a shield advantage. So that's a lot of good luck that's going my way to get the damage registration error. In the back, it's another Fairy type. It's going to be Galarian Weezing. Even though Weezing is not going to have the greatest time here since Fairy Wind is resisted. Unfortunately, Centiskorch just really doesn't have the coverage to hit back against Fairy types, so you're stuck just going for lunges and trying to Ember down. And Ember is just not doing a lot of damage in the Ultra League. My goodness, my opponent, it honestly feels like Ember's healing them over here. They're going to be hit with a Crunch now, just trying to get whatever damage that I can possibly get. Fishing for a debuff. The Crunch does actually get the debuff, and I'm just going to let the Centiskorch go. So Centiskorch will get KO, but I can bring in the Malamar. They are heavily debuffed, which means these Psywaves are shredding. I will shield up the Sludge. There's the switch into the Lapras, but I can tank this move. Sparkling Aria will not knock out, so I will survive, get to fire off a foul play, and then with a shield intact, I'll be able to farm down the Weezing, as Weezing just does not have the Fairy Wind damage needed to take the win. Speaking of Weezing, we've got it on the lead in the next match. Malamar into Galarian Weezing. Not a good lead. I'm going to farm up 13, switch into the Drapion, and get a catch and sneak. Let's see what they did end up throwing. It was just a sludge. Out comes Gastrodon, and that is not what I'm hoping to see. Gastrodon is going to be hit with the crunch. I'm hoping for the crunch debuff, but this game I'm not so lucky. Unfortunately, I only get the crunch on really awkward timing here, so I will just fire it off just to get some damage. The nice thing here is Malamar does win the CMP tie, so I can bring in the Malamar and deny their energy. So my opponent will have to shield if they want any kind of value out of the Gastrodon, and bad news for me, they actually do decide to shield. This will allow them to connect with an Earth Power. That's some significant damage. They farm up, but they are shy of a second Earth Power. This is only a Body Slam. So they are going to go for the Body Slam. There's a simultaneous switch out. I'm sending in Centiskorch, and my opponent is sending in Galarian Weezing. I really have to hope that I can get a farm down here with the Centiskorch, and that Centiskorch, its energy will have value in the back, but I think it's going to be a very tall task here for Centiskorch. Centiskorch committing the shield as my opponent is spamming out these sludges, and I really need it to be like a Malamar in the back to have a chance to win this game. Opponent, they are waiting out their timer. Let's see what it is. It's Golisopod, and the good news is they did not catch. I didn't see a switch in there, so I go for the lunge, but they caught. Oh no, the game didn't show a switch, but they caught. That's a beautiful prediction there by my opponent, and that's gonna win them the game. Now, I'm just going to let myself get KO'd because I can't win this. My opponent goes for an X-Scissor to cover for a catch, but realistically, the Malamar is so low that even an Aqua Jet would have knocked out. But my goodness, what a back-breaking catch by my opponent. If they don't get that catch, I think I actually win that game. So, great play by my opponent, and unfortunately, this game will end in a loss. We've got a tough lead in the next match, and its name is Golisopod. Golisopod, of course, has an ability to one-shot with double super effective X-Scissor. I'm able to land the foul play. Opponent is going to be under-tapping, and I will commit the shield. That's a bit unfortunate. I was hoping to try and make a catch onto the Drapion. I'm going to farm up. Opponent now switches into Cobalion. They were trying for a foul play catch, so the fact that I stayed in ends up working out pretty nicely. The foul play bait is successful. I did mistime my attack. I meant to throw 11 Psywaves there, not 12, but the bait should hopefully put me in a pretty decent position. I do have Centiskorch, but I would really love it if Centiskorch was able to catch the Sacred Sword, but I am unsuccessful. Great patience from my opponent. Stone Edge will one-shot, so I am forced to commit the shield. So I shield up the Stone Edge, in comes Golisopod, and let's see the bulk of Centiskorch. I do not have high hopes, and it just gets rocked by an Aqua Jet. My goodness. I will fire off the lunge. Lunge will be able to pick up the knockout, but so far not getting a ton of value out of the Centiskorch. Centiskorch, unfortunately, just does feel a bit slow in this game, but what's not slow is the switch into Malamar and the Superpower Snipe. That's massive damage onto the Lapras. Lapras having a nightmare time. They can't farm down. They save the energy. They pivot into Cobalion, but Cobalion gets outpaced. Superpower picks up the KO, and they could just never Psywave down Malamar. The triple resist is too much to overcome. They're forced to throw energy, and that is going to seal this game as a win. If my opponent was able to exit with 100 Lapras energy, things could have got uncomfortable, but the Malamar refused to get KO'd. So instead, Drapion is able to fire off the crunch and take the win. Picking up a good lead in the next match, Malamar into Annihilate. This is actually the regular Annihilate, which means that the matchup is a little bit more uncomfortable. And that is because after you land the foul play, you actually can't Psywave down as the Malamar. They will make a Rage Fist on very low HP. So I'm going to no-shield the Rage Fist, but as you see, my opponent could have made a move, and I don't want to go down a shield considering I have a Centiskorch on the team, so I will just fire off the foul play to pick up the KO. Out comes Feraligatr, and that's bad news for me. I can't really afford to pivot out because if my opponent then switches and saves the Feraligatr for the Centiskorch, I'm in trouble. I try and make a second move, but I don't get there, and now things are looking very, very dire. Feraligatr, it is the non-shadow though, which means I can survive 2 Hydro Cannons. I'm just going to save 2 shields for Centiskorch and hope that it's a fairy type. That's going to be a Hydro Cannon. Drapion very low HP, firing off the crunch, hoping they let it go, and they do. In the back, it's a Golurk and it's all over. Or is it? Because I'm a fire bug type, I'm only taking neutral, and I'm dealing neutral damage as well. If I get a crunch debuff, this is a guaranteed win. It's a 30% chance. Come on, Centiskorch, get the crunch debuff. We do not get the crunch debuff. And I believe these mud slaps are out damaging the embers. This is going to be a race to the finish. I do have lunge, but I think I need to fish for a debuff once again. So I'm firing off the crunch. That's going to be shielded. We do not get the debuff, and unfortunately, we're going to lose the game. Centiskorch let me down. Oh my goodness. And unfortunately, Golurk will take the win for my opponent. We've got a Malamar into Virizion in the next match. Virizion staying in this matchup, farming up a ton of energy, and now they're going to safe switch into a Shadow Blastoise. Shadow Blastoise, I don't have a good response to on this team. I'm going to go for a foul play, follow it up with a Superpower, and I'm really hoping my opponent lets it go, but odds are they're probably not going to do that. They will commit the shield. There's the switch into the Shadow Drapion. Even if they Skull Bash, I can survive it, so I will let it go. My opponent is just going to go for the Hydro Cannon, which in my view is the smarter play. They're going to fire off Hydro Cannon number 2. They're just looking to apply a lot of pressure in this matchup, and I don't trust that an Aqua Tail will knock out. Blastoise, even with Shadow, is very bulky, so I will go for the crunch. My opponent gets debuffed. They switch out, but they send in Giratina. This is actually very okay. It looks like they maybe have tried to catch an Aqua Tail. There's the crunch debuff that I needed last game, but unfortunately I get it now when I don't particularly need it. My opponent fishing for a boost. My goodness, this game, there's a lot going on in this game right now. I'm firing off the foul play. Foul play is going to be able to neutralize the Giratina. Giratina gets KO'd. They're going to bring in Virizion. I try and CMP type, but my opponent instead just goes for the extra. Superpower is going to land. Virizion is going to be firing off its energy. They are going to go for the Sacred Sword, and now I'm going to send in Centiskorch. Centiskorch, Leaf Blade, Sacred Sword, I'm not worried about it. But it's a Stone Edge, no! I lose the entire Centiskorch. In comes the Blastoise. Honestly, if I shielded that, I would have been combo played by the Blastoise, and now I have to hope that my opponent doesn't have residual energy on this Virizion. I KO the Blastoise, in comes Virizion, and thank goodness they did not have a move loaded. Poor Centiskorch got absolutely rocked, but we're able to take the win. Tough lead, Malamar into Galarian Weezing. Like before, I'm just going to try for the catch here after 13 Psywaves, and I actually get the catch for the second time, which is very nice. My opponent did only end up going for a Sludge, and out comes Golisopod. Golisopod will be immediately met with a Crunch. Crunch is going to do a significant amount of damage to my opponent. My opponent farming up, they're going for the Aqua Jet, and that's very okay by me. I'm looking to farm up, go for a CMP tie here, but I miscounted. Oh, that is not good. Oh my goodness, the lack of focus costing me in this battle as now I'm down a shield that I never should have lost. That is really not ideal. Crunch will pick up the KO, but being down a shield will put me in trouble, and a Galarian Moltres in the back is going to put me in trouble as well. I go for the Crunch. My opponent unfortunately did get denied. I'm going to bring in the Malamar, but I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm hoping my opponent will shield the first because the first Superpower would do more, but there's a stone cold bait call from my opponent, and now I am in a lot of trouble. Letting my opponent get a shield advantage for no reason was a terrible play by me. I'm just going to call the Ancient Power. Even if it's a Brave Bird, it's fine. I need Centiskorch to try and clutch this game for me. In comes the Shadow Galarian Weezing, and Weezing is going to be spamming out these moves. Weezing going for the Brutal Swing. They're going to get to a lot of Brutal Swings. The fact that they're already at another tells me they're going to make it to a third one here, and that's really not great for me. And there it is. They are able to make a third, and I just have to hope that either I can make 2 lunges or that a lunge landing plus farm will be enough for me to win the game. I go for the lunge, and they're going to let it go. It's going to be a race to the finish, and the Moltres survives on 1 HP. And that was so preventable if I just didn't give up a shield for no reason in the mid-game. Hopping into the final match, leading Malamar into Shadow for Alligator. And like the first match of this video, I'm very comfortable playing this out. No shield in the first, firing off the Superpower, and then looking to bail into the Drapion. Superpower connects, there's the switch to the Drapion, my opponent under tapping, playing to a CMP tie, but I save my energy and I get the catch. Out comes Skeledirge, If they're bringing in Skeleturge here, they do not have a great response to Drapion. This is the Ultra League. Skeleturge can survive a crunch. I get a crunch debuff. Where was that in the Golurk game? Oh my goodness. I'm going for another crunch. I get another debuff. The game is trying to give me makeup debuffs here at this point, but unfortunately, I didn't need them for this game. I needed them for the Golurk game. I'm going to send in Centiskorch, tanking the Torch Song, and I will be shielding up the second, as of course the second will do more. Torch Song with its guaranteed attack boost, and that double boosted Incinerate did so much damage. In the back is Cresselia, and this might actually be a winnable game. Can Centiskorch clutch a game? It would honestly be a miracle. Centiskorch farming up. Opponent plays to the CMP tie that they do not win, trying to maximize the overfarm, but this is a new Pokemon. People are not familiar with the counts, and that pays off for me in a big way. They Moonblast Ice switch into the Malamar. Feraligatr gets farmed down, and the final battle will end in victory. Malamar with the back-to-back foul plays. Opponent is just going to let the Cresselia go, and that's a good game. All in all, Centiskorch, it's an incredible Pokemon design, so I'm very happy to have it in Pokemon Go. I think that Firebug could be interesting in some future limited metas, but realistically, Centiskorch is going to need some serious moveset help if it wants to succeed in the future. The first of which is a better fast move. Ember is really not great at the moment, and it felt very underwhelming overall on Centiskorch. I believe Centiskorch's other potential fast move is Bug Bite. And I gotta say, you really do not want to try to have to rely on Bug Bite to do meaningful damage because Bug is just resisted by so many things. So I would love to see it get a better fast move in the future. And on top of that, I think it would be really nice. I feel like Lunge works in its moveset, but it would be really nice if Crunch could eventually be replaced with a strong fire move. So that way, even if you aren't able to farm something down with your fast move, you at least have fire type charge move damage. Whereas currently, I believe it is stuck with Heat Wave. And you might be saying, Henry, what is Heat Wave? I've never heard of this move before. Well, that would be because it's a 95 damage, 75 energy, 1.26 DPE abomination of a move. So, in conclusion, Centiskorch, it's a cool mod. I would definitely recommend doing some research tasks or doing a few raids while it's here to get some and hang on to it. Because we've seen time and time again Pokemon that were completely irrelevant get some move up they love, and suddenly they are meta threats. So I think it's worth grabbing a Centiskorch. Firebug is a bit of a rough typing, but with some moveset help, it could be an interesting limited meta contributor in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.